The TTArtisan's 50mm f/0.95 is one of my favorite lenses to use. It's dreamy, it's sharp, and it presents so many opportunities to be creative with my photography. You can find this lens for anywhere between $200 and $300 on the new or used market, which classifies this as a budget lens to some people. If you're like me, that's not a budget at all, and you ask for it for Christmas instead. Does this lens have flaws? Of course, but when you're looking for a lens, I think it's important to know what you're wanting to do with that lens. I like my pictures to be bright, overexposed even, to work with shapes in the foreground, better accentuate the subject, nice bokeh, sharpness. This lens fits the mold of what I want pretty perfectly. I have the TTArtisan's 50mm f/0.95 for a micro 4/3 lens. I primarily use this with my Olympus EPL3, but I also use it with my GH5. It's a manual focus only lens. It's got a really nice metal build, beautiful glass, and this nice little design on the side for the focus and aperture rings. It's really nice to look at. This lens has an aperture of f/0.95, which is really bright. That's a great feature for a micro 4/3 camera, which tends to excel in bright situations. F-stop just indicates how big or small the aperture is on a lens. The lower number indicates a wider aperture, which creates a brighter image, which has always confused me. This lens goes all the way up, or should I say closed, to f/16. Do you get why it's confusing to me? But I tend to shoot all the way open, or just about. When the lens is all the way open, getting sharp focus can be a challenge because a finite move on that focus ring can make the world of difference in the image. And the area of focus might be really small depending on how close you are to your subject. For instance, when I take a portrait, it might be hard to get the subject's full face in focus. You can count that as a pro or con depending on what you're trying to get. I've done both. A con of this lens is that the focus ring is a little tight and slow to turn. Maybe it's just my copy of the lens, I'm not sure, but I've had it for a couple months. It's a little bit of a challenge to get used to, but that's certainly no deal breaker to me. The low light performance is great, and it's the best among all the lenses I own for my micro 4/3 cameras. I've got some portraits that I really like on this lens that I just can't get on some of the other lenses I have. And of course, keyword alert, the bokeh is creamy, it's monstrous, it's amazing, it's bokeh-licious. There's a lot of great bokeh on this lens. A lot of people look for great bokeh, myself included sometimes, so this lens definitely has a pro in the bokeh category. Another con for this lens, and the only real con I can think of for image quality, is chromatic aberration. Chromatic aberration is just the color distortion, usually in purple or green, that can appear in images where light and dark details contrast. This lens can result in a lot of chromatic aberration. Not in every image, of course, but at a noticeably higher rate than other lenses that I use. In Photoshop or Lightroom, this problem can be corrected fairly easily, but it is a hassle. I correct this on maybe, 8% of the pictures I take. I don't usually have this problem though, I swear. I will say though, I took some pictures of a demolition site on a dark, dreary day, and there was a lot of chromatic aberration, but I kind of like it. It was pretty much the only color that there was to be seen, so I don't know, it kind of added to the image if you ask me. Since the lens can take so much light, there is an incredible depth of field. Some things in the foreground can be so out of focus, they're pretty much translucent, and it creates this amazing, whimsical, dreamy effect. That's the personality of this lens, capturing so much light that it's surreal. This feature has allowed me to incorporate a lot of foreground objects in my photos, create some more interesting compositions, and is one of the main reasons why this lens has become one of my go-tos for photo walks. So back to the budgetness for this camera. I don't make money doing photography, I just lose it. So $300 for a lens is not at all in budget for me. In fact, this is the most expensive lens that I own, and only one of two that I've ever gotten new. Every other lens that I have, I've gotten used. But it doesn't really matter. Focus on finding a lens that will cater to the style of photos that you want to take. Maybe it sounds like all I've talked about is how wide the aperture can go on this lens, but that's the point of it, isn't it? If you're going to get this lens, plan to use it for its strengths. I certainly do, and I love it for that reason. I would definitely recommend this lens. It's got lovely character and has been a great tool for me to improve my own craft. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I usually post photo albums, which are montages of pictures I take in a day or on a photo walk or with a particular lens, but there might be more videos just like this. You're just gonna have to stick around and find out.